All right, welcome to a gentle yoga flow that's going to be focusing on the lateral line. So, if you've never heard the term lateral line, we like to talk about connective tissues as being continuous lines, and there are several lines that cross different sections of the body. So, today the lateral line is really focused on the side body. And if we have any sort of scoliotic curvatures to the spine where we're going kind of in this S-curve shape, that opening up that lateral line can be very, very helpful for helping to kind of guide the spine back into a more healthy and neutral position. Also, if we are dealing with restricted breathing, we can open up this lateral side body, and we should find that our breath is quite expanded after this little class today. So in order to move through this practice, it's going to be really helpful to have a couple of tools. You're going to want either a yoga block of some sort, or you can use a thick blanket. And then also we're going to want either a squishy kind of Pilates ball, or this one is a Coregeous ball, or you can use a blanket on a wood floor or some sort of a slider, but something that is going to enable movement forward and backwards on the floor surface. So we are going to start in a wide child's pose. So go ahead and take the knees a little bit wider than the hips, and then you're going to sit your hips back towards your toes in the center, and start off with just the hands resting underneath the forehead. Nice, easy position to just settle in. And take a nice long inhalation through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. And again, full breath in. Open the mouth, let the breath fall out. Couple more breaths in and out of the nose this time. Begin to extend those hands out in front of you, so arms are at full length. And if the head wants to gently rest on the floor, totally fine. But let's find those arms a little bit more extended, so elbows are up off of the mat. If you've got the flexibility available and you wanted to come up onto your fingertips so that those elbows and forearms are fully off the floor, and then walk those hands over towards the left corner of your mat. You'll settle the palms, take a big breath in, and then as you exhale, sink the hips back towards your heels a little bit. Using the next few exhales to really open up the right side body. Taking those hands, walk them over towards the right corner of the mat. Again, settling the palms, full inhalation. As you exhale, just sink the hips backwards. Let's take the hands back towards the top of your mat. Your right palm will start directly under your face and then slide it over and across. You'll take the right side of your head and gently rest it on the floor, child's twist. Draw that right arm back out in front of you. And for the other side, left hand starts palm up under the face, slide it over and across. Left side of the head rests on the floor. Draw left arm back under the body. Let's draw the knees under you. So finding your tabletop position. So here in tabletop, take the hips over to one side a little bit and then the other side. And then as you take it over to one side, kind of sit the hips back towards the heel. So hips go over to the side and back towards the heel, starting to open up the outer glute muscles. And now slow this movement down. And as my hips go over to the left, I'm going to flare the left rib cage, kind of pausing in that open position. And then take the hips over towards the right, a little pushback, and then flaring the right ribs. So I'm kind of exaggerating the side bend to carry that stretch up all the way up towards the base of the armpit. And let's go back to the left one more time. So hips go over, slightly back, flare the left side body out. And then over to the right last time. Very nice. So go ahead and take your block or a blanket and you're going to come onto your seat. So just a cross-legged position. So from here, take those arms out in front of you. You're going to interlace the fingers and give a little bit of a push. And so you're going to bow that head between the arms. So letting the upper spine round a little bit. And then take both of your knuckles over towards the right. So finding a little bit of a side bend here. And then take the knuckles back through center and then over to the left. Come on back up, turn those palms, lift them straight up. And then let's take those knuckles back straight forward, bowing the head again. Take the knuckles slightly over towards the right and then towards the left. And back up. Now reach that left hand across the body. I want you to either grab that thigh or grab onto that calf, whichever is available to you. Take the right hand up and find your side bend. And then here, I want you to bend the elbow, so let the forearm kind of droop. And next inhalation brings the spine back to neutral. We'll do the opposite side. So right hand reaches across to the thigh or to the calf. Left arm goes up. Find your side bend. And once you're in it, let the elbow bend a little bit, maybe even rest the hand gently on the head. Breath in brings you back to neutral. Now, take your left hand. I want you to sneak it back behind you. See if you can grab onto that left upper arm, so just above the elbow, and then take the right hand. You're going to bend it like you're about to shake somebody's hand. Now, keeping that right shoulder nice and low, take the left ear towards the left shoulder. You should feel a nice stretch all down the side of the neck. Bring the head back to neutral, and then let's switch the hands. So now that right hand sneaks behind, grabs hold just above the elbow, bend that left hand so it's pointing straight forward. Keep the left shoulder low, and then let the right ear melt down. Breath in brings the head and spine back to neutral. Release the hands. So let's make our way back into our tabletop position. So we're going to need either the Pilates ball, Courgeous ball, or some sort of a sliding thing. So we're going to be doing what I like to call lat rollouts. So we're going to start with one hand on the ball, the other hand in more of a tabletop position. And I'm going to begin to roll that ball out towards the top of the mat. The ball is going to kind of roll up the inseam of the forearm, and I'm going to drop my chest down low and then slowly draw it back. And then slowly roll the ball back out. If you're using a blanket, just slide the blanket out and slide it back. So instead of just going straight forward with the ball and straight backwards, you can start to explore a slightly different angle. So you'll start from the same position, but you'll go just a couple of degrees wider. So off to the left, roll back to the starting position, and then take a couple of degrees across the body and come on back up. So maybe you go through those 3 different angles, one more cycle, so slightly off to the left, go forward, and then slightly across the body. And come on back up to your neutral. Switch the hands, so now that right palm is under the ball or the blanket, and I'm going to roll the ball out straight forward and back. Go about 3 times just with that straight forward and back movement pattern. And then we'll change the angles just a little bit. So from that same starting position, take the ball just a few degrees off to the right and come back to start. Roll the ball straight forward and back. And now take the ball just a few degrees across the body, so slightly over to the left. And come on back to center. One more time through all 3 of those angles. Excellent. Set that ball on off to the side, and now take your right foot out in front of you in a low lunge position. So here, I want you to find the fingertips resting gently on the back of the head. So we're not all the way behind, but just kind of fingertips on the outside of the skull. And then from here, I want you to take that right elbow and slowly tap the elbow down on the knee. Get a nice opening across the left side. Use a big breath in to come back to a neutral spine. As you exhale, take the left elbow towards the front knee. Inhalation to come back up. Exhale, tap the right knee or right elbow to right knee again. Inhale back on up. Exhale, left elbow. And back up. Release the hands. You're going to take that left palm down to the left. So fingertips are pointing over towards the side of the room, and that right arm is going to go up over the top. With that right arm, start to arc it first up to the sky and then peel it back a little bit. So I'm actively trying to open the palm and the right pectorals and the chest. And then taking that right hand all the way down to the floor. So both sets of hands, both hands are pointing in the same direction. Walk the hands towards the front. Go ahead and bring the torso upright, and then we'll switch the legs. So now that left foot is out in front of you, so low lunge for your other side. Take the hands, lightly rest the fingertips on the outside. And with that left elbow, start to rotate the spine, tap the elbow to the knee. Come on back up to neutral. Exhalation taps the right elbow to the left knee. Come on back up. Left elbow again. Back up. Right elbow. Release that right hand, bring it down to the side, and then the left arm is going to go straight up and over. With that left arm, first go up to the sky and then peel the chest back and open. Turn the palm, so peeling the fingers back a bit. And with that left hand, arc it all the way down to the floor, so both hands are pointing in the same direction. Walk the hands to the front of your mat, step the left foot back, and then we'll find our downward facing dog. So tuck the toes, lift the hips up. Start walking the feet forward to the top of your mat. When you get there, feet are going to be hip distance apart. In breath lifts you up, halfway rise. So spine gets long from tail to crown, and then fold back down. So find a little bend in the knees. Take opposite elbows for your ragdoll. Let go of the elbows, lower the tailbone just a bit more, start to roll up to standing. And once you're up nice and tall, use the next breath in, sweep the arms up to the sky, interlace all but the pointer and thumb, start to lean over to your right. With that left foot, take it slightly off to the side, but keep the left big toe grounded. Ground the foot under you, spine back to neutral. Exhale over to the opposite side, and then take that Right foot off to the side, big toe stays connected. Ground the foot under you and release the hands back by your side. Now go ahead and find your ball. You can use a block, but I really like having something that has a little bit of a squish to it. So take that ball between the right forearm and the hip. And left arm goes straight up to the sky. Start to roll that ball down the side body a little bit. So you come into your side bend here and then squeeze the right forearm or down around the ball. So there's plenty of active engagement here. Use an inhale, bring the spine back to neutral. Take the ball, reach it up, switch the hands, bring it all the way back down to the opposite side. So left arm is strong. You're going to roll the ball down just a little bit, finding your side bend, squeeze the ball. Bring the spine back up to neutral. Now set the ball off to the side. So this next move I like to call cherry pickers. So you're going to start with both arms up nice and tall. And then I'm going to take one elbow and I'm going to pretend like I've just picked a fruit and I'm going to bring it down by my side. And that elbow is actively going to kind of plug into the side body. And then I'm going to draw down a piece of fruit with the other hand as I reach the first hand up. And again, that elbow is kind of drawing down, plugging into the side body. So you're getting nice and strong, especially when that bottom hand, that bottom elbow is kind of pressing into the side. All right. Big breath in, sweep the arms to the sky. As you exhale, forward fold. Breath in brings you up halfway, and then slowly step yourself back into your downward facing dog. Here in downward dog, I want you to take your tailbone side to side like a puppy in slow motion. And as the tailbone goes over to one side, you'll feel a nice long stretch going all the way from the side of the hip down the seam, all the way to the hand. And then rock forward to a plank, lower the knees, the toes, and the torso to the floor. And once you're on the floor, take the hands underneath your forehead and gently rest for a couple of breaths. Take that left knee off to the side in a 90-degree angle. So thigh comes straight out from the hip, shin lines up with the long edge of the mat. And then I'm going to take my upper spine and I'm going to find a little side bend. So that left elbow is going to draw a little bit closer towards my left knee. And if this is just juicy enough for you, you can stay here. If you wanted to take that right hand and continue to reach it towards the top left corner of the mat. And draw the right arm back under you. Square the shoulders off, straighten that left leg. And then the right knee will come off to the side in a 90-degree angle. Again, the shin is lining up with the long edge of the mat. Take the upper spine into a side bend. So right elbow draws closer to the right knee. And then that deeper option is to take the left hand, continue that side bend by reaching it over out in front of the right corner. Left arm draws back under the head, straighten the spine, and the right leg goes back to straight as well. So now with that left hand, walk it back by your hip. You're going to start with the fingertips on the floor and the right arm straight forward. Use your next breath in, lift the shoulders, lift the head up, and then maybe you lift the hands up, and we're going to find a reach through that left hand, so actively drawing you into a side bend. So left hand's reaching back towards the heels, right hand is reaching across the body or across center line. Use your breath in, tap the hands all the way out in front of you, and then take that right hand down by the hip, actively reaching towards the heels to bring you into a side bend. That left arm and hand goes across the center line. Tap the hands back at the top of the mat, and then bring the hands under the forehead. 2 breaths. Plant the hands under the shoulders, come back to your tabletop position, and find a few cat and cows here. For this next movement, we're going to need to either use the squishy ball or use a rolled up blanket. So you're going to want something decently thick that's maybe about 8 to 10 inches across. I'm going to sit down onto the side of my hip. I'm going to take my knees and kind of stack them at a 45-degree angle, just so it's nice and easily rooted. And then take that ball and you're going to put it on the soft side belly. So we're not really focusing on the ribs as much here, but a little bit lower. So see if you can kind of sneak it right up against the hip. And then start to lay the side body down over it. And notice that my bottom arm is beneath my head so that I can kind of rest the head. And now with the top arm, I'm going to reach it all the way up and over. And I've got a couple of options here. I can just rest this top hand, or I can use the bottom hand and actually grip onto the wrist of the top hand and give a little bit of traction here. We've got another option to move a little deeper. Take that top leg, begin to straighten it towards the long or the short edge of your mat. So you'll just gently rest the inner arch. And then the next level, if you wanted to go a little further, I like to have my top hand actually come out in front of the chest, kind of in a stable push-up position, just to kind of give myself a little bit of extra support. And then all I'm doing is taking that top shoulder, taking the heart, and kind of rotating it a little bit towards the floor, and then rotating it away. So this is little slow movements, just adding a little bit of twisting moves, heart towards the floor, and then back and away. Great. So use that top hand. It's going to ground. Start to bring your whole torso upright. And then taking these knees, you're going to kind of split the stance. So I like to have my top knee resting on the inner foot, just so my knee isn't torqued all the way to the floor. And then with those hands, bring them by that grounded hip, and then actively turn the heart to look back. Come on out of the rotation. You'll ground your hips. Take the feet a little bit wider. Use the hands around the shins and a few little cat and cows. Let's do the other side. So now, coming on to the opposite hip, again, I'm setting up my knees in an easy kind of 45 degree, taking that ball and tucking it right up to the top of the hip bone and starting to lay down over it. So my bottom arm is there as a pillow for my head. With my top arm, I'm going to reach it towards the top, and then with the bottom hand, I'm going to use my thumb and forefinger to kind of grab on to that wrist of the top hand, give just a little traction here. With my top leg, I'm going to straighten it so the leg is fully extended, but I'm resting the inside of the foot, resting the inner arch of the foot on the floor. Now with my top hand, I'm going to bring it out in front of the chest. Palm is fully rooted. And then I'm going to rotate the torso, rotate the chest a little bit towards the floor, and then a little bit away. A little towards the floor, and a little away. Couple more times either way. Now press your torso upright. Take your knees and kind of split the stance a little bit. Again, I like to have my top knee supported by the foot. And with both of my hands, I'm going to walk them behind the grounded hip and actively twist my chest and heart. Release that rotation. And then let's make our way all the way onto our backs. Once you're on the floor, take that left ankle on top of the right knee. Reach your hands behind the right thigh for your figure four. And let go of the right thigh, ground the right foot. Stay with that figure four shape and start to twist the legs down to the right. So ideally, you'll bring the outer part of the right thigh and the left foot all the way to the earth. If you need to use a blanket or a pillow to bring that floor closer, totally fine. And then reaching that left hand, lay it back on the mat. Draw the left arm back by your side and square the hips off to the earth. Right ankle goes on top of the left knee this time. Hands back behind the thigh, figure four. Let go of the thigh, ground that left foot, and then twist the figure four shape down to your left. Right arm is going to lay back by your head, reaching past the ear. And the right arm comes back down by your side. Bring the hips back square to the earth. So separate the feet a little bit wider and then let your knees gently knock together. Rest one hand over the heart and one over the belly. As we open up the side body, there can be emotion or strong sensations that arise from opening those tissues. When we are in a fearful state and we're afraid, we oftentimes will cover the front side of our body and our sides. So it's a part of that fear response, that fight or flight response. One of the opportunities that's presented by yoga is to open some of these areas in a safe environment, to assure our body, our mind, all parts of us that we're safe, that we're okay, and that this is an all right place for us to open those things. So if there is any sensation, any emotion, anything that bubbles up, it sends little messages of comfort through the whole body. Begin to straighten the legs all the way out on the mat. And take your arms down by your sides, palms facing upwards. Take a long, slow breath in. And sigh it out. Find some little movement in the hands and the feet. As your breath deepens a bit, start to find some gentle movements. Stretching it any way that feels good for you. Begin to roll onto one side and take several breaths there. Rooting the hands to the earth, begin to rise up to your seat. Find the palms together in front of the heart. The light within me honors that same light within you. Namaste.